What I'm about to talk about now is not for those of a nervous disposition, because it's really, really disturbing. I'm going to talk about war and casualties. In the past few days, I've been watching on Netflix a documentary on the war in Vietnam, and it has left me really shook. I am shaken. I am emotionally disturbed. I can't find words and adjectives to really describe it, how I really feel right now. The horror I saw unfold in front of my screen is unbelievable. It is unbelievable how us as human beings, the top species, can become so barbaric. The things we do to each other, for what? Most of the time it's just for the ego. We think we are civilized. But this civilization is just a thin veneer. It quickly wears off when the time comes, when the right time comes, so to speak. One of the commentators on this documentary puts it is like this. He said, human beings are not the top species because of being nice. No. They are the top species because of being brutal and barbaric. Can do things that surprise even ourselves. We don't know what we are capable of. You don't know what you're capable of. I don't know what I'm capable of. Because in 1 minute, I'm human. The next, I can be an animal. Worse than an animal, because animals kill to eat. We kill for the ego. One would have thought that the world learned something from the First World War and the Second World War, which was brutal, horror of horrors, led by, begun or started by a megalomaniac called Hitler. And we thank heavens it came to an end, 1945. But 10 years later, another war began in Indochina, Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam, because of the rise of communism in China. First was the French, who were in Indochina, fighting. They tried to fight communism, but the French failed and Americans took over. They settled in the south of Vietnam. So Vietnam was divided into two. The south, which was capitalist, and the north, which was communist. And the war that unfolded there is something that I never dreamt of or even imagined was possible. How civilians were massacred in their thousands, on both sides. Both sides, Viet Cong and the South Vietnamese. South Vietnamese supported America. What the war was about really, there was communism versus capitalism. North Vietnam, supported by the communist China, and later on by communist Soviet Union. And the South by America, who came there to try and stop the advance of communism. America brought all their power. At the height of the war, there was about 600,000 American soldiers on the ground in Vietnam. Countless numbers of helicopters, jets, and B-52 bombers, artillery pieces and everything. More bombs were dropped by America on North Vietnam than they ever dropped on both world wars. Hanoi and all other cities were vanquished. They were flattened. But the Viet Cong kept coming. The Viet Cong kept coming. No matter how much America And the South Vietnamese bombed them. Viet Cong kept coming, suffered the civilians in that war. A war of egos. Have you seen a picture of that girl on whom a napalm bomb fell, with the skin peeling? Because a napalm bomb was dropped on her village. They were minding their own business. Hell from the skies came down upon them. She survived. But not before 6 hours of suffering before she could get to the nearest hospital, American hospital. But what about those that never got that help? And what about those that were not friendly with the Americans? And what about those that were in the jungles, on whom most of the bombs fell? What happened to them? They died slow and painful deaths. The soldiers were 19. They were young guys, American soldiers, young guys, 19. I have some military experience myself, and I was 19. But the difference between me and them is that I joined, but most of them were drafted in. And my experience in the military is by no stretch of the imagination anything close to what those boys went through. They were 19 years old and they were sent to hell. For what? Can I ever trust you? Can you ever trust me? As much as I want to, as much as you would like to trust me and believe that we can live side by side in peace forever, history tells us otherwise. We don't have to go too far back to see that mankind cannot be relied on to keep his word, to live with each other in peace. Look at the Rwandese or the Rwandan genocide. 1 million people died in such brutal and horrific manner. For what? You ask yourself. Look at the way ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram, Al-Shabaab, look at how they're killing people. All those beheadings. Huh? Who does that to another human being? Is that what we call being human? Well, we've seen war after war after war. We don't seem to learn from history. We don't learn from our mistakes, we keep repeating. You think the world wars are gone? You think Vietnam is gone? You think Iraq is gone? You think Afghan is gone? I don't think so. I don't think the worst, we have seen the worst yet. With us human beings being what we are, who we are, believe you me, the worst is yet to come. God be with you. God keep you. May He shine His face upon you. Till we meet again. Adios.